Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. This is Essence of 40, and this video is going to be a little bit different. You see, I'm not responding to a video. I am in fact responding to a web page, a page by stophomophobia.com in fact, because I found it to be a little bit despairing to read. So yes, the topic is pansexuality. However, it sort of links into bisexuality. I know I've done a video before on pansexuality. I was just very strong-shouldered against it. My views have shifted, they have changed, but I'll be explaining those further down the line. But this page, even with my changed views, just had so many errors that I needed to discuss it. So I've written out pretty much what's on the web page. I'll be going through, show it on screen, then come back now and then and discuss the things that have been stated. So let's get on with it. What is a pansexual? Pansexual is a term that has been growing in recent years as a way for people to better identify their sexual identity. The word pansexual is derived from the Greek prefix pan, meaning all. The term is reflective of those who feel they are sexually, emotionally, spiritually capable of falling in love with all genders. Definition: pansexuals have the capability of attraction to others regardless of their gender identity or biological sex. A pansexual could be open to someone who is male, female, transgender, intersex, or agendered/genderqueer. Now, this straight off the bat is a bit wrong in the way that it says male, female, transgender. What is meant by that? Trans individuals can identify as male or female, so possibly a better solution would be cis male, cis female, followed by trans male and trans female, or an even better solution would be male and female, and then the parenthesis on either side in caption stating inclusive of trans individuals. That would be a better one. Not perfect, but better. And why do I say not perfect? Well, because I discussed this with a friend of mine, and they went on to note the facts that it's really just a very grey zone when it comes to cis and trans, and a individual who is attracted to a trans woman can hold any and all of the same sexualities as a person who is attracted to a cis woman. I.e., there are individuals who are attracted to trans women who identify as lesbians, i.e., women who are attracted to women who identify as lesbians, even if their partner is a trans woman, because they are still fundamentally a woman. They identify as a woman, they are a woman. So that is one thing I need to highlight. It is a very risky area, but there were better alternatives to what they gave there. It's certainly, I wouldn't go as far to say as it was transphobic, but it was rather trans-ignorant in the way that it's sort of, you're male, you're female, you're trans, you're separate, you're different. A bit of a risky move there. Do pansexuals like everyone? Pansexual identified people have the physical, emotional, spiritual capability of falling in love or being with someone regardless of their gender. This doesn't mean they like everyone, and some pansexuals do have physical preferences. The identity is used merely to express the openness and fluidity to people of all genders. Nothing really to say there. Aren't pansexuals really bisexuals? And this is where my issues start to come in. Pansexuality is not to be confused with bisexuality, in which bi denotes two genders, male and female. Yes, and just about the same way that a chef should be considered a sex worker, because they likely work with vanilla. Vanilla has the root origin of the word sheaf, specifically in Latin, which comes from the word that we get vagina. So chefs should be considered sex workers, quite clearly. You know, words change. The English language in particular changes a lot. The historical usage of bisexuality has been one that, yes, you love two or more genders. Some people like to define it as, I have heterosexual tendencies, but I'm also attracted to other, sexualities. So it's, I'm heterosexual and non-heterosexual simultaneously. Some people do it the other way, it's homosexual and non-homosexual simultaneously, But historically, it has been used in a way that is being dependent on the person, inclusive of, non-gender binaries. There's nothing really to say otherwise. Yeah, the root origin has bi in it, but so what? As noted with the previous example of vanilla, coming from the root origin of vagina, that does not then mean that a chef should be a sex worker. So this is just being hyper-pedantic, really. But I need to be clear on something. If a person feels that the term pansexual is better suited for them, by all means. I'm not one of those people that actually gets so angry and enraged when a person uses a different title to me. I, as a non-cis individual, use the term bisexuality. I know people who use the term pansexuality. It's their preference. I have absolutely no issue with that. I do have an issue when misinformation comes along and tries to change how bisexuality has been historically used. It tries to, it's a genetic fallacy. It goes, this is the origin of the word, bi, therefore it can only mean two things. That's a genetic fallacy. That's a fallacy of origins. It doesn't exactly sit. So, where did I get up to? And pan, being all, is open to people who fall at all points or even outside of the gender continuum, myself included. So, I've got no issue with people using bisexuality, no issue with people using pansexuality, but could the pansexual individuals please stop attacking the bisexual individuals because, of the way they use a word, which they are the ones who self-identify as that word, and they will explain what that word means if they wish to do so. When it comes to such personal titles, the only person that should be defining who you are by these titles should be yourself or those you have given consent to do so. For example, an individual should not just assume your gender straight off the bat. Only you have the right to assume your gender and to assert it. However, then, if you have friends who know of your gender and you give consent to them and they hear someone misgender you, because you have given consent to that friend of yours to correct the individual, they can go ahead and correct the individual in that way. So, it does seem to stem a lot of biphobia. I'm going to use that word. I've never really used that word. You go and look back historically, the two groups that really stated bisexuality doesn't really exist have been the Christian right, or religious right in general, and homosexuals. There's always been a great level of critique inside the LGBT plus community, not necessarily from the T parts, of course the B parts are what we're discussing, but on the L and the G, attacking bisexuals, stating that you need to pick a side, you either love one or love the other, you cannot love both or all, That has been a historical context which has sort of been forgotten. And now we've got groups like Stop Homophobia coming along and practically coming from a different angle. They're now trying to ostracize bisexuals, or people who use the word bisexuals to mean the attraction of two or more sexes or genders. They're trying to ostracize them that way. And, it really does outstyle me. And then, of course, there's the extremely poor structure of the article, which practically flips off trans individuals anyway. So, it does just dig in the irony like an ice pick. So, moving on. How is pansexuality different from polysexuality? Pan means all, while poly means many. And so there are some similar overlaps. A polysexual may be attracted to same-gender variant people, but not have the capability or desire to be with some others. Pansexuals are open to any person regardless of their gender or sex. In which case, the definition you offered at the beginning was polysexual, not pansexual, because I go back and I do quote, a pansexual could be open to someone that is, and then the list follows. The word is could. That is the qualifying word. That's what differentiates it from polysexual. If it was the definition of pansexual, at least according to this last paragraph, it would state a pansexual is a person that is open to, and then listing all of them, as opposed to could, and then listing all of them. Do you see the issue there? So, yeah, I mean, again, use whatever term best suits you. I use bisexual because a lot more people are in tune with what it means. It doesn't take extremely long discussions to explain it. I date individuals of all gender and all sexualities, which is another thing. I noticed that a lot of people like to define the word sexuality as having attraction to gender as opposed to physical sex. This seems a little bit strange to me, especially considering in the communities I hang around with, we differentiate between romantic and sexuality. I.e., an individual can be bi-romantic while still being a heterosexual, i.e., they will date people of two or more genders, yet are only physically attracted to one sex, one set of physical anatomy. So this does raise a lot of questions, and it's just a case of people use words in the way that best suits them. So let them be. If they're pansexual, then you know what? Don't judge them. Let them use that term and, be friends with them. The only time that you should ever possibly judge them on that is dependent on how arrogant they come at it. For example, the first instance I had with pansexuality was an individual when I asked, they were talking to me about my bisexuality. I asked, are you bisexual? And they went, no, I'm pansexual. I could never be so bigoted to exclude non-gender conforming individuals. Which is like, it was just, it really was quite ironic. So, that's what it is. That's just being a bit of an arsehole. If a person, on the other hand, goes, I just prefer the term pansexuality, I think it's an upcoming word, I think it is more inclusive, then absolutely go ahead, use whatever term you wish. I have no issue, no grudge against you for that. It's just that the over-pedantic, attack on bisexuality as being exclusive for non-gender binary, it just does not make sense. Someone could quite easily do the same with pansexuality, talking about autosexuality or zoosexuality. Isn't that included in all? Therefore, we define it as, just on people. Well, you're adding qualifiers there that aren't in the original root words, so, yeah. Pedantic, it needs to stop at a certain level. That's really the main message of this. Use whatever title you wish. I've become rather liberal in my terms, it's like with the whole feminism thing, people still can't get over the fact that, people who don't use the word feminism, I can get on with them, I can get on with those who only identify as humanist or egalitarian. I myself use all three, so, yeah. Anyway, this is Lessons Thought. Hoping you all enjoyed. Take care and out.